Hello, humans. Good afternoon, good evening on the East Coast. There's probably someone it's morning or night. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm a little out of breath. Okay, well, I'm sad to announce that this is the final workshop for O&ESummit2022. But first, I'd like everybody to give a great round of applause to the O&ESummit staff, the volunteers. Amazing, amazing. So I'm still catching my breath. I'm a little verklempt. Welcome to Work as a Drag, the art of self-promotion or personal branding. So this is the third installation. I'm just going to take this off. Sorry. It's probably messy, but it'll have to do. So we've been doing this for 3 years at O&ESummit, and I want to thank the esteemed Connie Taylor for the suggestion and for the genesis of these sessions. My name is Rhoda Manhart. I'm the moderator. And you are such a gorgeous audience. I see all the purple out there, so happy Spirit Day. But before I introduce you to my sister wives, I want you all to get your personal devices out. You know the drill. And we're going to do some polls. And I think we'll put the first poll up now. Tech crew. Tech crew. All right, so look at this interactively. We see that a lot of you have been to a drag show. We have a couple of professional drag queens in the audience. Oh, wow. Do you want to come up here and take this? Okay. So this is really nice. We're getting to know you a little bit. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Michael Roman. I have been with Wells Fargo & Company for 37 years. My day job, I'm a risk manager. I'm also the enterprise strategy lead for our Pride ERG. Let's see. I got my start. I am not a professional drag queen. These wonderful performers are. And I sing in the Chicago Gay Men's Chorus. I've done that for about 25 years. And I see some members out there. Yeah, go Chicago. And one day I auditioned for a male role and I got a female role. And so that was really my foray into drag. But why don't I just move over to the rest of our panelists. Please give us an introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So my name, Connie Taylor. As a boy, Bruce Thompson. I was with Wells Fargo for 28 years. I'm now an independent consultant. And I have got my start in drag. I could probably be considered a lifetime of drag since high school in my first stage play where I had to dress in drag. And I loved it. And I wore my sister's prom dress. But since then, I've officially been really performing on the stage since 2014 and have been having a great time. And Nikki, who you'll meet shortly here, and I are very close. And I am now your reigning Miss Garden Legacy 2022.
Hi everyone, my name is David Flores, or as you see her right now, as Davida Loca. I am a branch manager over in Los Angeles, and I live over in Hollywood. So shout out to all of my Californians who drove a little bit over here. So like I said, my day job, I am a branch manager, and my gay job, I am a drag queen. I dress up in drag, and I do fundraising events. I'm not that girl you're going to see at the bars and the clubs and collecting dollars. I'm that working drag queen, as you can see, working hard for her money. So that's a little bit about Davida, and you'll hear a little bit more a little bit later on.
Yeah, so I am the girl in the club taking the dollars. Yes, so happily. Yeah, my name is Nikki Love. That is the drag name. Boy name is Nick Lind. I am based out of Des Moines, Iowa, and I'm a quality assurance analyst within our home mortgage space. During the day, at night, I transform into this lovely beast, and I perform on the showcast at the Garden Restaurant and Show Lounge in Des Moines, Iowa. I was a previous Miss Garden and handed the crown down to Miss Connie Taylor. Yes, and that's me.
And now the show begins. Good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Clint Cedillo. My pronouns are he, his, and I perform as CeCe LaBrie. I am based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Oh, what? So very excited. Met so many North Carolinians this week. But I am a native of Houston, Texas. Okay, there we go. I am a learning and development facilitator for Wells Fargo. I've been with the company for 17 years, and that's my day job. My gay job is I'm actually a show director for a brewery in downtown Winston. It's actually a straight brewery, or a straight brewery. So I am their events coordinator and show director, so I perform there weekly and excited to be there and excited to be here today. And thank you all so much for attending. So earlier, Rhoda talked about this is about personal branding, and first impressions is something that's part of personal branding. So take a look at, oh, y'all already on it, look at that. Take a look at the picture. Utilizing your phone, what's a word that comes to mind when you see this particular entertainer?
Now we're gonna let these polls play out, and anyone who's interested, I'm gonna post the finals out on the Pathable portal so you can see what they are. But let's go to the next slide so we can tell you a little bit about why we are doing this. And so, why drag queens and branding? And so, you just looked at Bianca Del Rio. Most of you know who she is, and if you don't, shame on you. But obviously, the first impression, you can see that she was funny, that she's a clown. And the way that drag performers come up with their personas are the same way that you can create your own personal branding and use that to influence conversations that you're having with executives, move your way up the ladder, and really own your story and be able to communicate that to other people. So does anybody want to make a comment on the slide?
Yeah, I just want to say too, brand is very important, as we talked about, and we're going to spend a little bit more time on that. And there's many different kinds of brands that you can position yourself as. But keep in mind, the best kinds are the ones that are really true to yourself. So if they're true to your core, they're going to speak to you, it's going to really resonate with you. Don't try to, if you're a very introverted person and you think your brand is to be an extrovert, that's going to be really hard for you, right? But find a quality or a trait within yourselves to really help push that brand that makes it easier for you. It's more natural. It feels right. So, pick a brand that works with you.
And if you are introverted, just put on a wig and some heels, and it's all downhill from there.
Right?
Trust me.
Game over.
There's a different part of yourself that comes alive when you put on the wig and heels. Just make sure you have the right color foundation. I don't think these lights are hitting. I'll speak for myself, right? But
No,
don't worry.
It is true. Like for us, when we put on the lashes, even just getting ready up in the room, we walked into the other room, we were like, oh, she's here.
She's arrived.
But don't worry, the gala's going to be much darker, so we're going to look fantastic over there.
Exactly. Just you wait and see.
After a couple of costume changes.
Of course.
So one quick thing, Clint, CeCe, do you have anything you want to add?
Oh, no, my sisters hit it on the head. Branding is it's not about creating an image. It's about presenting authentic, what? How's your head?
No complaints.
It's excellent.
Brand is about not creating an image, but presenting authentically, and to mirror what my sisters said today.
So I just want to mention one thing. In the first two workshops, we said you are in drag all the time. What you're wearing now is your drag, your point of view. In this session, you are a brand whether you like it or not. So let's move to the next slide. Pit crew. Thank you.
Oh, pit crew.
So I'm gonna ask Davida to talk a little bit about the difference between personal branding and corporate branding.
So if you guys see on the slide, we have the infamous Lady Gaga up there. Show of hands if you guys know Miss Lady Gaga.
Leave if you don't know who she is.
So her personal brand, we know her as Lady Gaga. She is an advocate for the LGBTQ+ community. But starting off, how she got her start, how we got to get to know her, was putting on those crazy outfits, and how she was able to shock the audience and make people upset by what she was wearing and different things like that. And it really went against the grain of what people thought a female artist should be. And she really challenged that and went above and beyond and said, I'm not just a female artist. I'm a spokesperson for the people, for my fans. There's nothing that I can't do as Lady Gaga, and she is unstoppable and invincible. You know, and speaking for myself, you know, my personal brand, you know, you see her today as Da Vida Loca. I've been with Wells Fargo for 10 years. And I started my drag journey in 2014 when I was a couple years into the company. And I was able to present my drag persona into the corporate brand. And we're going to talk a little bit into that later words, but I didn't really understand the power that Davida was able to bring and how it would be able to encourage and motivate people, but being able to marry those two items together, which is all inside of David, me all along, really helped enforce the leader who I am, and was able to come to light the different aspects of who David and Davida could be.
Thank you. Anybody else have a comment on that? Pip-proo. All right, so I'm not going to drain the slides because I know that you can all read, you can all see, but we're going to go through each of these bullet points, and we're going to hear personal stories of how these personas came to be and the key elements that you should be using as you build your brand. So, next slide. The first one is uniqueness. So, one of these things is not like the other. Cece, why the beard?
Why the beard? Oh, is my ex-wife here? She must be at the other session. So the beard is part of my odyssey of drag, if you will, that started in 1997 when I was 3. Yeah. Child labor laws were different back then. And when I started, the look was to be as real as passable as possible. It was about realness, which is very much a vernacular term we use now. We see it on Drag Race. Oh, that's real. Oh, she's real. Oh, it's realness. Oh, realness. So, thank you. So, the beard actually started a few years ago. In addition to being an L&D facilitator, I also am a stage actor, and I was in the middle of acting in a musical, and my character required me to have a beard. Then some organizers for a nonprofit reached out and said, we'd love for you to MC and perform. And I said, well, I'm in this play, and I have to have a beard. What are your thoughts on bearded drag? And they said, oh, that sounds amazing. Let's do it. So for the most part, it was a hit. There were some people that said, that's not drag. I said, okay. About 15 years ago, I started singing live and playing piano when I perform. Then people said, that's not drag. I love a good flat and a kitten heel, unlike my sisters who have these sky-high stilettos. And people say, that's not drag. One of the things that I have that is part of my drag motto, my drag brand, which goes over to my corporate and my professional brand, is that there's more than one way to do drag. So professionally, there's more than one way to accomplish a goal. If you call it drag, it's drag. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. So one thing I always try to impart on people when they're, I want to start out. Well, what do you want to do? Then do that. Do what makes you comfortable, and your audiences will definitely see the joy that you have and love what you do as much as you do. So that's why I have the beard.
Thank you. And
to add on to that, I just want to make another comment about uniqueness. So there was a lot of people, I think, on the first poll that said they watched RuPaul's Drag Race, and for many people, that's their only exposure to drag at this point. And for those of you who've watched it and seen it, it's there's like a template, right? It seems like there's a drag template that they all kind of look the same, they have the same skill set, etc., and that's great. I mean, that works for a lot of people. But when you go to the local clubs, you see a lot more than that. So there isn't a template for that, right? I don't fit that template. I'm sorry, AARP, if anyone from here, you don't insure me to do a death drop. It's not going to happen. So I don't do that, So I identify with more of the more classic drag looks and more of that traditional look. That's also a brand of drag, right? So just because it's not the current template or the current look doesn't mean it's still not valid drag. And for those people who represent all these other different dimensions of drag, it's drag, it's valid, right? Cisgender female drag is drag. It's all drag.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Cece. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, by the way, anyone else have any other uniqueness traits that you want to talk about? Because we are now on background. Background, your history, what makes you up, where you come from. And in the drag world, there are houses of drag. I want to pass this over to Nikki to talk a little bit about her genesis story, because I think it's really interesting. But remember your histories when you're making your brand.
Yes, so my history started going to teen nights at the bar. So I had just lost my mother at that point, and she was my everything. So I was kind of struggling to find where I wanted to fit in and what kind of family I wanted to have. So I was fortunate enough to be able to go to the teen nights and see the drag shows that were put on by the showcast at the time, and it was at the Garden. And one of the owners was the matriarch of the showcast. He was the director, and everybody looked up to him. So I made it a point to go out on the patio and go up to him, and I said, "I'm gonna be the best damn drag queen you've ever seen." I had never worn a dress before at that point. So it was just all my confidence trying to come out, but there was none. So I was able to form a little bit of a mentorship program and used him as a sounding board and emotional support as well. And through learning the art of drag from him, he welcomed me into our family, which is called House of Love. So we are about 15 members strong, and we're actually all over the country at this point, but started in Iowa, been together about 20 years, way before me. But their thing is to go to Pride events, and we do full-on 60-minute sets on their main stages that are fully choreographed and all of that. And we rehearse via Zoom, so it's all about collaboration and making yourself available. But houses and families, chosen or blood, is definitely the most important thing to have in your network.
Thank you, Nikki. Anyone else have an origin story?
You know, oftentimes we hear about, like, I'm from the house of this, the house of that, and some people do have an amazing experience and story to share. You know, my background, you know, I don't have, you know, there's no house of Loca. If there is, you know, let me know if I have some kids out there that I'm not aware of. But, you know, for me, I was able, and I was fortunate to be together with a group of guys, men, who wanted to perform in drag. They wanted this artistic outlet. And collectively, we all kind of like puzzle piece together, like, all right, well, like, what does foundation look like? And what does makeup look like? And what does, you know, the outfits? And what is this? And what is that? And, you know, while I'm not a full-time, you know, performing drag queen that you're going to see at the bars or on a TV show, some of my friends are. And they are the ones, and I've seen them at their first drag show. But I was like, whoa, thank God you've upgraded since then, you know. So you don't necessarily have to be like from that house. It's that community and that collectiveness of creativity that really drives the background, at least for me, of who I am.
Yeah, and along that line, there's like a sisterhood. Even if you're not part of a house, you can have a sisterhood that you can really become very close to and very much a part of just by performing with some of the regular people or even just backstage. You know, they show, again, it's television, right? Untucked and the arguments and the fights. That typically is not going on backstage at a drag show. They're very collaborative, they're very helpful. You're zipping each other in, you're helping each other glue down wigs, you're helping, right? It's just because you're all in it, you're there for the performance and you're there for the art of drag. So you can still have a sisterhood and you can still be part of a drag family without having to be part of an official one. If you are, that's amazing. That's a great opportunity. You learn a lot from that.
Okay, Connie, wait right there. We're going to switch the side because the next question I'm going to throw to you. Oh, actually, I'm not. It's in the wrong order. Okay, this one's about
Got
passions.
it. I'll take it.
You will take it. So, in your brand, you must let people know what you're passionate about. So, tell us about your passions.
So I had mentioned a little bit before how I started doing drag and how I was bringing that into work. So I've been with Wells Fargo since 2011, and in 2014, I decided to audition for this big fundraiser called Best in Drag Show over in LA. We fill up the Orpheum Theater. It's 2,000 people. We have celebrity judges. There's usually 5 to 6 drag queens. Just like Miss America, there's an opening dance number, swimsuit, talent portion, evening out, question and answer. At the end of the night, there is a winner. They don't win anything, but we do raise about $500,000 each year that we put it on. So before 2014, I just used to go to the show and just be like inspired and moved. You know, there's hands down not a single person who's not gonna laugh or cry or both at this show. And I was just so moved and touched by the stories that people were sharing. So that fundraiser is for a nonprofit called the Alliance for Housing and Healing, and they raise money for people that are living with HIV and AIDS that are homeless in Los Angeles. So on one night, 5 to 6 drag queens raised about $500,000 to help people with food, medication, emergency expenses. And I decided I don't want to be in the audience anymore. I need to be on stage. So I auditioned and then I got it. And I was so excited about this opportunity that I was on a conference call, and my work knows that I volunteer left and right. And I decided to say, hey, can I share this fundraiser that I'm doing? And they said, sure, go for it. And I said, I'm gonna be a drag queen and da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da. And you know, I just rambled on all these things because I was so moved and so inspired by what I was about to do in a couple months, just to be told the next day that the person running the call suggested that it wasn't the most appropriate platform to share that type of event, and just to be mindful of the things that I share at the workplace. So that was in 2014. In 2018, so about passion, I knew that what I was doing was right. I knew in my heart of hearts it was benefiting a lot of people, but I didn't have the knowledge or the skill set or the experience to understand how to share that in the corporate environment. So I got to learn those skills. I still did drag. I still competed. I didn't win. So I tried again in 2018. But fast forward to 2018, not only did I compete again and still didn't win, but I was named, I won 3 awards that year at work. I was the LA Metro Volunteer of the Year. I won the Corporate Sustainability Accountability Award, I might be butchering that one, for Wells Fargo. And then I was also Volunteer of the Year for the entire Wells Fargo enterprise in 2018, being recognized by the CEO and the head of community banking. So what I'm trying to say with that is that if you have the heart, you have the passion, and you know that you're doing the right thing, don't lose that inspiration that's inside. Eventually, something's gonna come out to where it's gonna make sense. You know, you might need to leverage your sisters who's gonna help you, glue down that wig or teach you how to speak in a more professional way. But, over the last couple of years, I've calculated, I've been part of this show since 2014, and I've personally been involved with those group of people, and we've raised over $3 million since then. And that's more than what that person could say on the conference call. Show of hands, how many of you guys have been on these Zoom calls when we presented the last 2 years at O&ESummit2022? Show of hands? So those of you who are raising your hands might know that one of the awards that I won, or one of the ways to be recognized as Volunteer of the Year, was I was the first drag queen to ride the Wells Fargo stagecoach at the Long Beach Gay Pride Parade.
That is a no.
Here we go.
That would be me. I was the very first one. She was maybe unsanctioned. I was the first sanctioned drag queen to ride that stagecoach.
Sanctioned,
And,
east of the
hold on.
Mississippi. Oh,
In addition, this is how I'm going to one-up you.
did I shave? I'll put my arm down.
I don't, well, these people can't see me over there. Hello. I wrote it in an 1850s hoop skirt. Very appropriate for the stagecoach.
Like
that I made.
Like she said, old drag. Love you.
Yes, thank you for paving the way for us young queens over here. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna have to one-up both of you. I was the first drag queen to pull the stagecoach at a pride parade. The horses were exhausted and they said, grab the first bear you see.
And I was the first to be run over by the stagecoach. So let me just bring you back to passions for a second.
Oh, yeah.
The stagecoach is their passion. I found myself one day in the elevator next to one of my operating committee members, and I do risk as my day job, but I took that moment to tell them about my passion for DE&I and to talk about what was important to me. So that's part of, elevator speech. That was a perfect elevator speech branding, so that's just something to bring back to passion. We're going to move on to the next one.
Okay, that's me for skills. So let me talk a little bit about skills.
Upstaging.
She's skilled. So part of what I'm known for in drag, as I mentioned earlier, is more that traditional old school drag, that kind of pageant look, etc. A big part of what I'm extremely proud of, because my day job was more in the mortgage side and a chief of staff, and did lots of project and change management, etc. Right? But the creative side of me needed an outlet, right? In addition to just drag. So I make about 90% of what I wear. So yes, I made this money pantsuit, just so you know. But anyway, but in addition to that, I host a show in my suburb, and it is also at a straight bar, and it's very much a neighborhood straight bar. And they love it. And I bring Nikki up from Des Moines to perform in it. And as part of drag, there's skill sets that you have. We've talked about these in the virtual sessions as well. There's skill sets that you develop in drag that really do align with what you do in your day job. So for me, a huge one is organization. So in order to be a drag queen, you gotta be organized if you're gonna be successful. It just makes it that much easier, right? So for me, we do, in my show, I have to do everything. So I source out the posters and the advertisement. I hire all the cast, and I pull it all together. And then with themes, etc., because it's every other month that we do it. And then we also end up with, when I pull my outfits together, I'm very organized. When I try everything on the week of to make sure it looks right? So it's the outfit, the wigs, the jewelry, whatever. I lay it all out because I want to be organized. I don't want to get to the location and be scrambling and forget something. And then I go so far as to, I pack everything in little packing bags. All the shoes go in. The jewelry goes in the order that I wear it, so I can get to the first one on top all the way down. And it's very, very organized. And Nikki and I have one of our sisters out of Des Moines that we just love to tease her. Her name is Jade Knight, so if you ever know her, you can tease her about this. She has what we call a Houdini bag. You open that suitcase of hers, and you have no idea what's in there. Neither does she. She's looking for a shoe. She's like, I thought I had another black shoe somewhere. Anyone have anything? She's constantly borrowing from someone else because she doesn't know what's in there. And I've been trying to convince her all along, be a little bit more organized. You'll find out. It's going to be a lot easier for you. And she wants to be so badly. She just can't get there. We're working on it.
Yes, you should see the end of the night when we're trying to get all packed up. We have to go over, and two of us have to sit on either side of her suitcase so that she
Just
can
to
zip
hold it
around.
down.
And yeah.
Yep, exactly. So skills are really important that you learn from doing drag, and you wouldn't think of that. Now, many of you, even if you don't do drag, that's fine, but think of other hobbies. Think of other things that you do in your personal life, and what are the skills that it takes for you to be successful at those, whether it's gardening or anything with your hands, construction, if that's what you like to build things, or if it's in the arts yourself. Jesus, I didn't even think of that.
She's got to get her money's worth out of that outfit.
This was $15 at Target, and I was not reimbursed for it, so.
But those kinds of skills that you learn in those types of things, whether it's creative, whether it's analytical, whatever it is, those are the things that, again, if you have passion around that, it typically means it comes natural to you. And if it comes natural to you, those are the skills that you should bring to your day job, right? And that will help you be more successful. And it helps, again, what we're talking about, build your brand, right? You'll be known for those types of skills. And if it comes naturally to you, it's just easy for you, and you're just far more successful at it. So that's why I think skills are important. Think about what it is that you are passionate about, you have the skill set for, and bring that to work.
So I can attest to Connie's perfection about getting ready. So we have this game plan this morning of getting ready together, and I was at a different hotel where I'm staying at for the week. So I just decided to grab all my stuff and then go over to their room, and I see Connie just there, just almost done by the time I show up. But she's just there, just kind of playing with everything. There's this whole organized set. And I just get my suitcase and I just dump it on the bed. I was like, I need the curler, I need this, I need my hammer that just fell. And, it's just one of those things to where you learn different skill sets along the way. And even though, thank you, girl. Even though that I've been doing drag since 2014, I learned different aspects of drag as I went on. That first year, I had somebody put everything together, hair, makeup, outfits, and everything, like from the top down. Today, I can do everything except for like style a wig. But shipping all of this stuff together, it looks how it looks just because there was only so much carry-on that you could take on the airplane. But you learn different skill sets along the way, and because you have that sense of community and you have that family, when I'm rushing around and my anxiety's through the roof because I'm like, I can't find my heel, feeling like the Jade, I have Miss Connie over here that's saying, girl, you're good, you're almost done. Just got your eyelash on, we got this. And at the end of the day, I have to remember. So myself, David's pronouns are he, him. When I'm in drag, I'm just a man in a wig. And so if you see the bra strap coming out from the side, or you see the bra that's right now underneath on my waistline because they just keep slicking, it's a learning set. It's a learning progress. And so don't look too closely. It's the lighting. It's the lighting. Gala, so much better.
You're like a Monet. Don't get too close.
Anybody else have skills they want to highlight?
So this is something that I'm very passionate about as well. Just skill transferability. I talk to so many people at work who say, oh, I would love to be a trainer. I would love to work in HR. What do I need to do now? And it's like, you really have, I'm sure you have some of the skills now. Talk about what you do, and let's see how that will transfer over. As a learning and development facilitator, if you haven't noticed, I enjoy being in front of an audience because I do it every day. I enjoy public speaking, and I think one of the transferable skills I have is communication, networking, and interpersonal skills, which works both for my day job and my gay job. When I arrive to a show, especially if I'm emceeing, I get there early, I meet the audience, I chit-chat with folks, because I'm all about relationship building. And it's sometimes challenging at a drag show, but if you just take the time to get to know people, then they're gonna have a better experience, because they're gonna say, oh, I know her. And one of the other skills that is definitely transferable is just the ability to adapt to a rapidly changing environment. In corporate America, we know that today this is the procedure, this is the policy, and in 20 minutes we get a memo from the CEO saying, now the color is red, and you're like, oh great, the whiz. Now the color's changed, and so I'll give y'all, some of y'all are too young to get that reference, but see me afterwards. Any Wiz fans? Okay, thank you, all right. So the same thing happens at a drag show where there's a challenge with the technology, there's an issue with the sound, as music started, and it's 10 seconds, 30 seconds, they're not out. They're like, my zipper broke, my nail broke, my heel broke, and I'm like, I'm about to break you. So you gave me the high sign, you were ready. So that's something that I'm used to as well, is just that if I need to stretch it out, let's improv, let's continue talking to the audience until that particular performer is ready. So I think those skills are the two most important to me that transfer. And when people ask me about, well, how can I get started doing drag? I'm like, and like I said earlier, what do you do well? What do you enjoy doing? Let's put a drag persona on that. Applause.
Thank you.
Yes, I mean, they covered it all very well, but just kind of going back to the whole family thing and networking, I mean, that bond that we have in the dressing room is amazing, and the audience can see it. So it's just making sure to show love. I mean, yes, just use my family as the reference there. Just show love to everybody, and it'll come back to you tenfold.
Everybody say love.
Love.
Oh, it worked.
So I'm going to bring it back to the presentation of branding. It's wonderful that you know your skills. No, I love these girls. They're great, but they're never on topic. So it's great to understand what your skills are and be able to articulate them quickly. And especially within drag, when people are putting shows together, they're not just going into the yellow pages looking for drag queen. They want a comic or they want a singer. And so if you know your skills, same thing in the workplace. Know what you're good at, know how to articulate it when the time comes. So we're going to move to the next one. Thank you. And this, I lumped these two together in everything that you do, we talked all week about being authentic. Authenticity in your branding is very important. Don't try to be like someone else. Know what you bring to the table. And our intersectionalities, that's what we've been talking about all week. That is the best part of your brand. That's how you connect to people. People that you wouldn't normally connect to. It's just a wonderful bridge, and that should be included in your brand. So I'm going to ask each of our ladies here to give a little bit of an example of how they use diversity or authenticity in their brand.
Okay. So I am Mexican and German. I am Catholic and Jewish. Born and raised in Houston, Texas. So all of that really informs just me, but also my drag and my brand. When I perform, I love Selena. Any Selena fans? I love Celine. I love Edith Piaf. And musical theater. Okay. And to add on to that, and my husband's French Canadian, so hence the last name. So I mean, at any time in our home, it's Rosetta Stone. It seems like so. But I utilize all of that in my music, in when I perform, and also realizing that the importance of embracing your uniqueness and embracing that intersectionality, and not about let me try to be like her or let me try to be like him. Let me try to. Oh.
Continue.
Coming back to what do I do best? And all of those definitely inform what I do. When I host my holiday show in December, I ensure to include Christmas music, Hanukkah music, Kwanzaa music, and not just drag queens, but what type of talent do you have? Last year I actually had 2 drag queen violinists play at my holiday show, and people thought that, they were like, drag queen violinist? I'm like, I know, right? They thought it was the Be Our Guest number for a second. And I was like, no, that's tomorrow. So I utilize that, not just in my day job, but my gay job, to connect with people, because there's an otherness in what I am. And when I meet someone else who is, and I'll use the word the anthropological other, someone who's not like ourselves, we connect by being different. And I think that's what some people don't get. They're like, we don't have anything in common. Well, that's what you need to connect on, what you don't have in common. And I think that definitely informs my brand and just my life. Applause. You're getting it.
Wow, that was very exciting.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes. So I am not as exciting as her, but yes.
But you're beautiful.
That's my authenticity, my diversity right there. You stole the words. We're done. On to the next, right? No, so for me, my big thing is fully immersing myself into any experience that I put myself into. So for instance, we do a lot of theme shows back home. So just being able to fully fit a theme of what you're doing and putting your full self into it. So that translates to work as well. I mean, any sort of project that you're put into or anything like that, you need to put your full self into it and step with your best foot forward. And that's what I thrive on.
And the feedback that she gets from the audience is flawless for everything she does.
She was born like that.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Cover girl does not cover boy.
No, and so for me, part of my different intersectionalities, I am my pronouns are he, him. If you go on my Instagram, dflores_14, there's my shout out. I am gay. I am Catholic. I am Mexican. I don't speak Spanish. I come from a single parent home, and my mom is deaf. So we didn't grow up speaking Spanish. We grew up speaking English and Sign Language. Furthermore, you're gonna see me, my day-to-day, I'm at work, and then I go to the gym, and then I go to school. I'm also a college student. And, when I'm not doing that, I'm either doing this or I'm sleeping, because I just do a lot of those different things. But for me, there's so many different parts of who David is, and every day, as long as I bring my true, authentic self to work, and I don't take myself too seriously, the best parts of me come out, and it gives me just that little entry into what my future could look like, because I'm showing up day to day being truly the person who I am. And unbeknownst to me, so one of the leaders who got me onto this panel 2 years ago, she saw who David was and what he was doing within the company. And she told me, and I will never forget this, she said, "You have no idea the amount of inspiration and the motivation that you're bringing to somebody that you don't even know and you haven't even met, but you're changing lives. Continue doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is amazing and no one else does it like you."
So for me, as the old gal on the panel, what I guess my diversity and authenticity is, and I was really thinking hard about this, right? Because, I'm, European background, and, I feel like, out of drag, I'm that typical middle-aged white male, right? So what do I bring in terms of diversity? And when I think about what it is and what I bring to my drag, I thought about back to when I was a kid. And back when I was watching TV, every year the Miss America pageants would come on, and Miss USA pageants, and I was just fascinated. I loved the beauty of it and the attention to detail, and everything about it was just amazing to me. And I'm also very much inspired by Marilyn Monroe, a huge classic movie fan. So when all of that kind of wraps in, that's what sort of inspires me in my drag. And that attention to detail to make sure that I do it as authentically as possible. I have we just did a show last weekend down in Des Moines, and one of the show directors, it was her birthday. And so far be it for me to come out and just sing happy birthday to her. I came out as Marilyn Monroe in the pink dress saying happy birthday to her. And so that's the way my mind thinks. I want to do and be as authentic as possible, because it's really true to who I am. These are the things that I was fascinated by growing up. These are the things that I had passion about. And this is how I bring it into my drag.
Thank you. Thank you. It was really nice. My diversity is all about millinery. Yeah. So, thank you. We are coming to the point in our program where we're going to look for questions and answers, but I want to thank this wonderful panel for sharing of themselves. Amazing, vulnerable.
And thank you, Rhoda, for being our moderator. Round of applause for
Thank
Rhoda.
you, Miss Rhoda.
I have to hide this wig.
Truly round of applause for Rhoda. We're all corporate professionals, but we're also drag queens. So trying to wrangle 4 drag queens together to put together a workshop across every different time zone in the US was difficult. And we had email after text message after phone call of, "Come on, girl, we need this, we need that." And we're like, yeah, we'll make it. So really, thank you so much for moderating and putting together this workshop and everything you've done for us.
So, thank you. And before I see if any of you have questions, do you have questions for the audience, or anybody want to reach out to anybody? There was some. Actually, there's one person who intentionally came here dressed in drag. I'd like to stand up and acknowledge you, because you are beautiful. I see you right there. I'd love for you to.
Oh, yeah, girl. Woo! Stunning.
Gorgeous, stunning.
Stunning.
Thank you very much.
Just a light day face. That's all you need.
So I'm going to look for a show of hands, and we have the first hand came up over here. So why don't you come down with the microphone?
Before I actually do that, I do have a virtual question that I'd love to squeeze in, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. So from the chat, how can the community get a message across to the drag establishments that we would like to see kings included in the cast of regulars?
Okay, I can take that one to start with. We, last year, had one decked up, and it's one of the drag kings that works with, doesn't work directly with you.
He's our king show director down in Des Moines, and he has a full monthly show that is all drag kings, and then also anybody that is under the male presenting umbrella.
Yep. Jack Frost.
Jack Frost.
Yes, look him up. He's amazing. And unfortunately, he had to drop out last year just due to work commitments and whatever, so we weren't able to get him in. And we've tried again this year to We had a transgender queen. We had another drag king. And, I don't know about you, we're limited to the number of people we can bring. And sometimes business lines can't afford to send people, and that's all that really it was. They were excited, ready to go. They just couldn't step away from their day job to do it, which was unfortunate.
But in the community in general, and we've mentioned it up here on the panel today, everyone can do drag. Anyone can perform in drag. And in terms of the community themselves, obviously, it's about branding. You've got to get your name out there. Each one of these people had a journey to get to the stage in the place they perform. And you need, no matter who you are, how you identify, if you want to do drag, you need to find that journey to get on that stage. And we all believe that anyone can do drag.
And also, if as someone who books shows and promotes shows and organizes, I always say ask. If in your communities, if you know someone who's a drag king or another type of performer, go to the clubs or go wherever and reach out and say, I'm interested in performing. And I've actually booked more people that way that came up to me and said, I'm interested in performing. And what do you do? And I do this. Excellent. Here are my next shows. And when can you fit this in? Because I like a diversity in entertainment as well. And that's why I also include those who do anything live, comics. I had a drag queen magician once. Okay. No, I'm kidding. No, it was not. No, she was fantastic. But to answer the virtual question, just ask and say, I'm interested in, open your mouth. Say, I'm interested in performing. Because sometimes I speak for myself, we're not always aware of the talent that's out there. I would parallel that to Wells Fargo. I didn't realize there was this talent in our company, and I've been there 17 years. So just ask is my advice.
So my name is Shane Allen. My pronouns are he, him. This may be old news if you've already answered this elsewhere, but have you done or tried to do drag shows at Wells Fargo?
I'll take that. We haven't done drag shows. I've done some happy hours there, and this was, okay, so Rhoda mentioned this. This was something that I had a vision back in 2018, after my very first Out and Equal, that I wanted to do this, and then I brought it up in 2019 and said that we wanted to do something to really try to bring more drag into corporate America and normalize that in a corporate America environment. And I know a lot of people drag performers who have done that in the past. And so that's what I was wanting to do. So we were not obviously able to do it the last 2 years since it was virtual. We did virtually. So this is the first year we actually get to do it in person, which we're so excited for. But yeah, we would love to do something like that. I had ideas to do that, but you guys can take the reins and as being at Wells Fargo and see if you can make that happen. I think it would be great.
Yeah, and kind of tying into the last question, it's just like Cece was saying, I had no clue that we had other drag queens within the company. I had no clue that there was another me within the company. It's all about those things of, having somebody see the passion that you have inside of you and connecting the dots. There's so many amazing people that we had the opportunity to meet here this week, and just being able to connect and be able to see, you're not the only one. What can we do? When I first said that I was coming to this workshop, and it was virtual 2 years ago, I said, oh, they want me to present in drag. I had a manager at the time was a cis straight male that just said, okay, so you need the day off, or he didn't understand what really entailed it. But I think that's where all of us, we need to be advocates for ourselves and for our community to really show what is possible when we come together and really be those champions for our own diversities and pull other people along with us.
So in terms of Wells Fargo, I can tell you Wells Fargo has supported the drag community. We were in World Pride. We had a drag queen smack on the top. We contribute to drag fundraisers. And in fact, I know one of our chapter chairs of our ERN are here, and we have done, our chapters do drag bingo. We've done discussions on drag and drag culture. And so there's a lot of ways that you can bring drag into the company. In terms of performances, I think there's a place for it. Usually comes down to funding. So do you have?
So I was going to say not yet. When I approached my manager in my line of business about this and explaining what it was, my line of business was very excited. My manager was very excited, and her leader's leader wants me to present at their virtual meeting that they're going to have this year. And I said, do you want me in drag? And she was like, well, why wouldn't you be in drag? And so I say not yet. I've also been approached by other Fortune 500 companies in the Winston-Salem area to present for DE&I at their organizations as well. So I'm very excited about that.
Oh, and just one other quick comment about that. So we had, based on last year's virtual, and then we'll get to your question. Based on last year's virtual, we had 2 separate companies reach out to us asking us to participate as part of their Pride celebrations this last year. One was Travelers, there you are, hello. Travelers
Thank you, Travelers.
Nikki and I were able to do a little drag makeup tutorial virtually for them, and they put on drag makeup while we put on our drag makeup. It was a blast. And then, is CNA here? There
CNA
you
in
go.
the house.
Hello.
Oh, hey,
And we weren't in drag for that one, but we did a Q&A and talked a lot about drag and leadership skills. So thank you. It's good to see you.
Next question.
Thank you. First of all of you have such beautiful smiles.
$5,000.
I know this has been a lighthearted conversation this afternoon, so I'd like to ask something perhaps a little bit deeper. In your personal experiences or with your colleagues, do you find that the expression of drag supports in trauma-informed experiences that you or your colleagues may have had in the past? And secondly, on a lighter note, is there a lipstick that you recommend that we can get at Sephora for tonight's gala?
So I think that for us as drag queens, when it comes to trauma, we're not sitting up here trying to be experts in anything other than who we are as drag queens, as drag performers. We're always open and we're very aware that our drag and the presence that we bring is always continuing to evolve. And we want to be able to learn and to grow with our audience and with our people and with our organization. When I onboard new employees to my branch location, we have a little plan wheel of what we do, our financial, our personal, and our career aspirations. And I have a big old picture of Davida on the stagecoach there. And one of my employees said, "Who is she?" And I was like, "Well, that's me." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he kind of try to walk away, but we were all presenting what it was. And so once I was able to share, who Davida is and what she does, and how that ties into the community and our corporation and the skill sets that helps me enhance myself as a branch manager, he understood it. So when we were first making our impressions as drag queens, we automatically have an assumption of what's going on. But what I can tell you is that because of the work that I've done, people have opened up to me about personal things that are going on with them medically, because they know that I fundraise for the homeless and HIV community. And because of that, I got to have these open, intimate conversations with people. So not necessarily to the point of your question, but kind of got the gist of it. And I think Cece has what makeup to get for tonight.
Oh. Well, I'll do the second question first and then the first. So I use Maybelline Color Stay. And I've had this on since Sunday. I think it was really a Sharpie. I don't know at this point. But no, Maybelline Color stays. I can drink all night, and I'm like, oh, we're good. To answer the first question, I think very much as like Davida said, I think with personal trauma, I think just informs us as individuals. Period. Regardless of one does drag, one does not. One thing that the trauma that I have had growing up is it makes me more empathetic and makes me more approachable to people. And I jokingly call myself a bartender because people will come up to me and just start I'm like, "Hi, I'm Clint." And they're like, "Hi," and they start crying and tell me, I'm like, "Oh, okay, tissue, tissue." So I think that one of the misconceptions about drag queens is that we're supposed to be, very catty and shady and the B word. I don't know if I can say the B word or not.
I've heard a lot worse.
Okay. Boys, no. And when people, like for me personally, and I'll say with all of them as well, when, anytime I have an issue, this week alone, I've said, oh, I have this issue, and they're on it. And I think just back home, when people approach me, everyone, I get so much, oh, I want to be your drag daughter. And I'm like, I don't have drag kids. I will help you build your brand. I'm not going to make you me. So I think just being empathetic and approachable, period, in life, will help those who need to, even if it's just to have a listening ear about whatever trauma they've experienced or are experiencing. So sometimes we just need to get it out. And oftentimes the best sounding board is someone we don't know, because then in our minds there's no judgment.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing. Drag is an art form, and I think art in general is healing.
We see you over here. I see the Cub contingency on the wall.
And thank you for thinking we were wearing makeup. I just have a little lipstick and mascara on.
Yes, Silver Fox.
Hi there. Thank you. Thank you. I've been called like that a couple of times. Anyway, still here with Dell Technologies. This is not a question. This is more of an invite. Would you be interested in joining us in one of our lip sync challenges?
I mean, if everyone else wants to lose, absolutely.
So what we did during COVID, in order to keep people entertained and participating in our activities, we organized lip sync challenges with people that started performing just in their bedroom, performing in front of a virtual background or a curtain that was raised there. And then we came up with our own drag queen, Quarantina. I don't know if you met her. And people have raised the bar at a very, very high level. So doing maybe a cross-company collaboration, that would be great.
Absolutely.
You'd be hard for us to find a drag queen that doesn't have a flash drive of their songs with them.
And we won't lose.
Okay. Challenge accepted, ma'am. Feel free to follow. I know our Instas, at least my Insta, it's on our profiles in the Out and Equal.
Yes.
I'm at CC Labrie, that is my drag profile. Please follow it. If you've taken pictures, feel free to tag.
Please tag us.
Yes.
Our facial recognition doesn't recognize us on our phones.
Yeah, right?
I'm sorry to inform you,
I
we've
don't
got
know why.
20 seconds left, but since this is the last workshop, maybe they'll let us take a few more questions.
So I see here and I see here.
Thank you. I am Adriana Butler. I'm from Florida Blue, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Florida. I go by she, her. I want to ask off of what you stated earlier when you announced the philanthropy that you were working for and the being pulled to the side and saying maybe this was not the time or place for that. What advice do you have to give to a fellow trans entertainer in the Jacksonville area on how to rile up your company and your coworkers to come out and support, especially benefits like for local charities?
Yeah, I would just say, it's one of those things about having the open dialogue, and to be vulnerable enough to understand that you're not the expert in what someone's asking you. There was a workshop that we did to where, and I'm gonna butcher what I'm trying to say, but to be that person that's just curious. To have that open door policy for me as a manager, my team knows when they say like, hey, can I talk to you? There's like a certain tone that they have with me that I said, yeah, like, let me pull you aside. Davita's very big and loud, and I am that same way as a branch manager. But when they get my attention and they let me know, hey, I do want to have a conversation, we're able to have that open dialogue. And speaking to, some of the stuff that I do on the nonprofit side, and when someone had reached out to me and let me know that, that they might have been exposed to HIV. And they know that I'm on the board of a nonprofit that helps with things like that. They didn't know the resources that were available, but I'm very key to what those resources are, and I was able to point them in the right direction. So for me, it's about being that person that's just curious about what the other person's gonna say, and just guide them with maybe my own experience or the resources that I have.
One thing I might add to that is that if you're talking about in your corporation, then think about the way that your corporations invest in the community, partner with not-for-profits, find out the value and partner with places that the company is going to contribute to. And so that might help them support you in that journey.
Additionally, think about it as an opportunity to educate. I think about my family. When I started doing drag, they didn't understand what I did. I would come home with a bag full of dollar bills, and they say, "You do what now?" So until I'll say my mother, until she actually attended one of my drag shows, she was like, "Oh." She was like, "You're just miming." That's what she calls it. And so I think a lot of my coworkers, they don't understand because unfortunately we've seen, I think now corporately or conservatively, there is a war on drag queens right now. That we're groomers and fill in the blank, we've all heard the news blurbs. So educating people like, this is what the show will look like. I've had a lot of my colleagues come out to my drag queen bingos and they said, "Oh, it's just bingo." I'm like, "Yeah, it's just a drag queen calling numbers and then doing a song in between." So a lot of it will be an education on what the show is and what the show will look like to change those, not just their minds, but also change their hearts. To say, this is something I should support because it's important to you.
And to the silver fox over there, Florida Blue's interested in the challenge as well.
I think it needs to be an O&E workshop.
We had someone on this side. So we'll go twunk. I can't see. The twunk right here. Oh, wait. Everyone's like, "Who, me?" Hello.
I'll be brief because it's not really a question. I just wanted to say I joined your virtual presentation 2 years ago, and it inspired me because I had been trying to bring a drag performer into my office for a long time, and you were the inspiration because you turned it into a panel. And while Risk would never approve a drag show, a panel was something they could understand. And we all know you get enough queens in a panel, it's going to be a show. But every time a Risk person reached out and said, "This isn't a show, right?" I said, "No, it's a panel." And so we were able to accomplish a big goal of mine, and we had a great response.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
I think there was a twunk right here. As everyone turns, they're
He's
like,
had his hand up a long
"Twunk,
time.
what do you think?"
Thank you. I'm Delano. I am from Amsterdam visiting. My pronouns are he, him, his. So my question for all of you is, do you still get negative reactions from your colleagues? And how do you deal with it? And how does leadership within the company deal with that?
So
Either
I'll start.
personally
It
or
took
through
me,
other people.
So we've talked in many sessions before about coming out all the time, right? You're constantly coming out. So when I moved into my most recent position, I knew I was performing a lot more then, and I wanted to be able to bring it up somehow, and I wasn't really sure how to do it. But it's that same anxiety you feel in terms of having to come out every single time. You have to somehow find a way to work it into the conversation and do it. And once you do, more often than not, because they know you as a person, as a colleague, as a friend, they're gonna be okay with it, especially if they already know that you're gay or they already know that you're on the LGBTQ network or something to that effect. It makes it a little bit easier, but it is a little bit nerve-wracking. And oh my gosh, you know the gays, I'm sorry. Sometimes you don't like to know that you do drag. All of a sudden it's a turnoff. So dating can be harder, but it's gotten a lot better now that drag has become so much more widely accepted and so much more in mainstream media. It used to be kind of like a deal breaker in the past because a lot of gay men would find out you did drag and they were not interested anymore, so.
I will say for me specifically, I actually came out right before coming to this conference about my entertainment side. Because I had actually just joined a new team within the last year. Things were changing, I was around new people, and I always have an internal anxiety about how somebody else is gonna react about me telling them. And so I actually was going through the whole process, and thank you, Renee, for helping me to come out to my boss and attend here today. So it's about letting go of yourself and not getting so in your headspace of what you think the reaction is going to be to what you're saying.
And even though we're up here on a panel speaking to you in drag, coming out, as drag queens at work, still to this day when I'm sharing with somebody new, I turn bright red in the face. It's one of those things to where it's one of those challenging conversations that I need to have with myself first before I present it. And I know that in my back pocket, I have, when I say I want an award for being Volunteer of the Year, that automatically is like, oh, okay, work got it, work approves of it. And then I tell them that I do it in drag, and I rode the Wells Fargo Stagecoach in drag and everything else. They're like, oh, shoot, like they kind of don't really have a rebuttal against that. And then you start naming dropping, the CEO recognized me, the head of community banking recognized me, we raise so much money, Wells Fargo donates to the show that I do, and they're kind of like, well, awesome. You kind of leave them speechless in a way. But it is one of those things to where it is challenging because we do have to kind of come out each time we tell somebody who doesn't know our drag background.
Thanks, Davida. I have to be the person to tell you that we are way over time, so I would like to thank you all for coming, for sharing and welcoming us to you. Thank you so much.